Hello guys, what is up? This is RiceNoctowls here, coach of your Houston Reggie Rockets, here with the UAPB Season 1 Draft Analysis. Pretty excited. I believe UAPB stands for Universal Association of Pokemon Battlers, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, it's a pretty cool league. It's got top in it. It's got nobody else you really care about in it. It's got top in it from the GPA, so that's pretty cool. So we're going to go over my team now. So going into this draft, round 1, I really wanted Magearna because I really want to try out Magearna in draft because everyone's heard about how amazing it is, but I was not able to get it. I believe I want to say I was 4th in the draft pick out of 12. This is a 12-man league. I believe it went Crimson, Casper, Tup, and then me. Yeah, so I was 4th. And 3 of the things I really wanted to get picked, one of them being Magearna, were taken, so I decided to go with Victini. Victini is so strong, but only really with V-Create. It's got really good coverage, a good speed tier. Obviously, you know what it does. It's base 100 Pixie, 100 stats all around. I really wanted to use it in Gen 7. I've used it a couple times in like mock battles in Gen 6. But I never really used it super effectively. So I'm really excited to use it. It starts filling out my Firewater Grass core, and it's a good staple on any offensive core. Now to go with it, round 2, I wanted to get something solid. Obviously Victini isn't going to be very bulky, and this is a Pokemon I've never really used before, and I've seen it go round 1. So the fact that it got around to me like at the end of round 2, I decided might as well try it. We got Celesteela. Celesteela, actually, I looked at its stats after I was done, and I wasn't super impressed. Like, they're basically base 100, like a Pixie or something. Like, I believe it's 1 out of 3 defense and special defense. So it's not amazingly bulky, but it is Skarmory typing. It does have Leech Seed. It gets access to a lot of recovery. It gets access to Autotomize. Obviously access to the Beast Boost ability, making it a really scary sweeper. This thing just has a lot of really good options for me to explore, and I'm really excited to use that to destroy my opponents, as well as how well I think I'm going to do in this league. I'm not the most competitive battler, but I don't consider myself terrible. I consider myself around average. But I think, as you're going to see, we constructed a pretty well-made team. A team that I feel complements my playstyle pretty well. So we're going to try and get as many W's as we can. I probably wouldn't be uploading if we didn't have to, but we do, so here we are. Alright, so enough of that. After picking up Victini and Celesteela, I was having to think, what exactly do I want next? I need a Mega? I need a more reliable bulk, because Celesteela I'm not super happy about. And I saw this Pokemon was still here. It started filling out another one of my cores, and so I decided why not go with it. It seemed really fun. I asked a couple people in my other leagues, they said it is a blast to use. I drafted Mega Venusaur. This thing is so bulky. What is base 120 defenses or something like that? It's ridiculous. Not to mention, also has great offensive stats, a usable speed stat, good coverage. It's just so bulky. Like, the only way to kill this thing is to PP stall it out of synthesis or psychic or flying moves, obviously. Or really strong attacks, but that's what we're going to be building my core around, is that we don't have to rely on Venusaur for everything, but it does a good amount of the metagame. And I'm really excited to use it. I've seen it used really well. I'm not going to use... I know this kind of looks like a Dan team, because I've got Victini and Mega Venusaur. But hopefully we get away from that pretty soon. And I'm really excited to use that. Obviously, it continues filling out my Fire, Water, and Grass core with Victini, Mega Venusaur. Hope to, and I believe a bulky water is an important part of any team, so you'll be seeing a bulky water here pretty soon, bulky-ish water. And so moving on, continue filling out my cores. This is a Pokemon I feel really comfortable using. I wanted a Fairy. I love Wish Passing. and this leaves really 2 options, I guess 3 options, but I wouldn't pick Aromatisse right now. And genuinely, I think offensive fairies are just super good, but this is also a very bulky fairy, especially defensive. We have Sylveon. It's a little early to go. I don't know. It used to be a tier 1, and so, but in this league it was a tier 2, and I needed to pick it up. Continues my Dragon Fairy Steel core with Celesteela Sylveon, and now we've got a nice defensive core in Celesteela, Mega Venusaur, and Sylveon. Now we're going to continue expanding upon that, because I like having a good offensive core of 4 mods or so, and then supporting it with a really strong defensive core that I can pivot around. Usually with some good momentum in there. And so we're going to continue filling that out. Sylveon, for now, I feel is a really, really good Pokemon. Gives me a great switch into, obviously, special attackers, good access, and I can run it Calm Mind, I can run it, obviously, Wish Protect, I can run it Specs. It's very good offensive. Unfortunately, with the Pixelate nerf, it is slightly less strong, but it still packs a huge punch. Moving on. One thing I notice when I draft is I usually draft a pretty big Dark and Ghost weakness. And that's because I really like drafting Psychic types, and I was trying to push myself away from that. Obviously Victini wasn't a very good start, but I've done pretty well so far. And spoiler, I don't draft another Psychic type for the rest of the draft, which is pretty awesome. So what I do draft to help any potential Dark and Ghost weakness, as well as an Electric immunity, is Crocodile. I've never used this Pokemon. I've seen it in tier 2, and so I got it as a tier 3, and I'm really excited. It looks really, really strong. Really, it's got a lot of different variety of capabilities. It can be defensive with Intimidate. It can be obviously a Choice Scarf Moxie Sweeper. It's got obviously really, really good dual stabs in Earthquake Knockoff, your Ground Dark. The types itself just complements my team really well, offensively and defensively. And I'm really excited to use this. But the main thing right now, no sort of removal. Also need a water type. And I got Tentacruel. I'm not super happy with Tentacruel. I'm not a huge fan of Tentacruel. It's got Rapid Spin. It's decently bulky, I guess. More especially bulky than defensively bulky. It's another poison type, which doesn't pair super well with Mega Venusaur. But I wanted a removal and a water type in one pick, and actually, this round, I really wanted Alomomola and Hitmontop, but both of those actually got sniped from me right before. So, unfortunately, because I love using a core of Alomomola Sylveon, I think Alomomola is amazing, and I think Hitmontop is a great removal, and the fighting type just goes well with my team, but unfortunately, that is not how that worked out. So we have Tentacruel. I know it's got good options. It's got good coverage, obviously spin, toxic spikes, which are nice. It's a water type. I guess we'll see. I feel like it's not going to function as my throw it into anything I wanted to throw it in, like I do like to have for my water type, but like Milotic, Slowbro, Slowking, Alomomola, but it'll do its job. I'm pretty happy. And this next Pokemon, I'm super happy with. Getting on a more happy note, I've wanted to use this mod forever. It is such a huge threat. Dan is using it amazing in the GBA. It's ridiculous how strong this thing is. It is such a threat. I drafted Haxorus, filling out... Oh, yeah, forgot to mention. With this pick, we've now finished our Dragon Fairy Steel Core and our Firewater Grass Core, so that's pretty cool. Along with Tentacruel last pick. Anyway, Haxorus, there's really not much to it. Dragon Dance Sweeper blows through things. Although, actually, Choice Band would not be too bad. But most of the time, this is going to be a Dragon Dance Sweeper to end all sweepers. It is so strong. It's got a nice speed tier for a Dragon Dancer. It's going to be outspeeding the majority of things after Dragon Dance, unless they're Scarfers. Even then, it outspeeds a lot of Scarfers. It's got coverage to hit fairies and poison jab, but most of the time you're just going to be blowing through things with Dragon Stab. I'm really, really excited to use this thing. It is so strong. But if you notice right now, I have very little special offense. Like, I have Sylveon, which is great, but a lot of the time I'm going to want to run that thing defensive, which means it leaves me with Celesteela and Mega Venusaur, and Celesteela maybe physical that week. No, that's Mega Venusaur. So I decided to go with X-Cloud. X-Cloud is X-Cloud, you know what it does, goes boom. I just wanted a really good special wall breaker. Thinking back on it, Sylveon and X-Cloud kind of fulfill the same role, and I may have wanted a good special, or a good fastish electric type in this to get more momentum, because I don't have an electric type in my draft, and I'm usually really comfortable with drafting electric types, but none of them really popped out to me this round. I wanted Heliolisk, but just didn't have enough points, so I had to go with the tier 4, and so I had to get something like Electrode or Raichu or Zebstrika, which I still could get. I may make a trade later on, but X-Cloud, very strong. I love using Swellow, and X-Cloud is a stronger but a lot slower Swellow. So it's really, really strong, and I'm really excited to use it. Moving on, I noticed my team is very, very slow. Well, I guess it's not super, super slow, but it's pretty freaking slow. My fastest thing right now is my Victini at base 100, and also my Tentacruel, and then going down to like Haxorus. And so I wanted something to at least get some, where faster things will not just run adamant against me all the time. I did draft Excelgor. I'm really excited to use this Pokemon. I've never used it before, but I've seen Joey use it in the UCO really, really well. Obviously it's Spike Stacker, Final Gambit, Bug Buzz. It's pretty strong, but it's very, very fast, and that's what's really cool. So, I mean, and obviously Bug is a really fun type to spam as well, so it's going to be interesting. I'm actually developing a pretty good hazard stacking core with Excelgor, Tentacruel, Crocodile. And that's another thing I don't like about this team. My only rocker is Crocodile, and a lot of the time I won't be wanting to run that as a rocker, because my steel type does not get through rocks, Celesteela, so that's unfortunate. I wanted Miltank, that's the thing. I wanted Miltank, I believe, in a spot where I got Haxorus, but Tup, the pick before me, did snipe me from it, and that's really unfortunate. But, I mean, you do what you can. So, we have one rocker, being Crocodile. We can use it if we need to. Next Pokemon, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of this next Pokemon, but I've seen it as a tier 2, and it was there as a tier 4, and it was in round 10. I couldn't just pass it up. And so I ended up getting Mimikyu. I've seen it be a huge threat before. Obviously it gets Disguise, Swords Dance, it's Trick Room setter, I guess, if I needed Trick Room. And actually, now that I think about it, like, Sylveon... Yeah, actually, it's not. I was about to say my team could be Pseudo Trick Room, but not really. But Mimikyu, I mean, for the price I got it at, I feel like it's going to do really well on the team. It gives me a Ghost type, which is really nice. It gives me another Fairy, so I've got dual Fairies. Not that I feel like I'm super weak to what Fairy's weak to, because I have good resistances and immunities to Poison and Steel, mostly in Celesteela, because Celesteela plus Fairies just pair really well together. And that's pretty much it, Disguise. Swords Dance Sweeper. Next up we have Alolan Persian. This Pokemon is very fast and very good at grabbing momentum, and that's really important for what I wanted to build this team around, because I want to build this team with grabbing momentum, with Excelgor, with Alolan Persian, and then like bringing in one of my big wall breakers like Victini, like Sylveon, like Crocodile, like X-Cloud, and then blowing something back. Looking back on it, I feel like I could have drafted better. And I may be making some pretty big trades later on. But I'm pretty happy. I do like all of the Pokemon I drafted. Maybe with the exception of Tentacruel, but we'll see how that works. Alolan Persian does give us another Dark type, which means we definitely don't have a Dark and Ghost weakness, with our only weakness being Victini and having 2 really good immunities. It's not very strong, it's not very bulky, but it does get momentum, and that's what I need. It fills in my speed tiers pretty well as well, because now I have 2 base 100s and then like a 110 or 115, whatever Alolan Persian is, and then Excelgor is 130, 135, whatever it is. And so that's pretty nice. That is the squad. I believe week 1, let's see here. Week 1, we go up against the Genova Giratinas, aka TTC Ghost. He has a interesting team of Cresselia, Toxapex, Cobalion, Mega Sableye, Garchomp, Delmise, Rotom, Frost, Smeargle, Terrakion, Quillfish, and then he hasn't picked his last Mon yet. But he has 40 points, so it's going to be a tier 4. It's interesting. He picked Cresselia round 1, and he did draft, like, it looks like Stall, but then he has stuff like Garchomp, Terrakion, Cobalion, but then he also has the Stall Core, Cresselia, Toxapex, Mega Sableye. It's a very odd team, so I guess we'll see how that works out. Anyway, I'm gonna head off, guys. If you have any suggestions for nicknames, please let me know. And that's about it. Peace.